Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Coming right back after posting the NBA video, we're looking at the NFL Draftkings and Fanduel picks for tomorrow, week number 7. So, didn't have a first look video out this week, just busy with NBA starting and trying to get all those videos out. But wanted to go ahead and go over the final look video. I kind of did it in the first look video segment, just because I didn't have that out today or this week. But it's 11 games for Sunday. We got a lot of appealing pricing and got some things to talk about, especially at tight end. So let's get started. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the links down below, Twitter and website if you want to join. And let's go ahead and get started. So looking at some of the totals for this week, we have the couple of higher total scoring games. We have the Cowboys with the return of Dak Prescott. They're at 27 3/4. The Chargers right below them at 27 3/4 against the Seahawks. We have the Bengals in a great matchup against the Falcons. We have the Raiders against Houston. Then we have even the Ravens, Bucks, and Chiefs are sticking out a bit. But we have some good pricing at quarterback. So starting off, you have a couple guys that are expensive, Mahomes and Jackson. Mahomes has a tougher matchup against the 49ers, but coming off of a loss, expect Mahomes to. And it was a loss where it was kind of Mahomes' doing at the end, throwing that poor interception, which he still played well in that game. They could have come back and scored a touchdown and won. But, you kind of cost them the game with that interception, threw it right to the defender. I think he'll bounce back for sure. Jackson continues to just struggle in late situations. They could have been 6-0 or 5-1 in all these games. They've had leads, but just they've been choking in clutch time. I think I'm going cheaper. I'd rather get to like Burrow at under 7K against the Falcons. They give up almost 280 plus yards per game. Burrow has great weapons to throw to. He's coming off of a great game against the Saints where he threw for 3 touchdowns and he's run in for a touchdown twice back-to-back weeks. So he's probably my favorite at $6,900. I like Dak against the Lions. If you wanted to play him, he might be a little bit lesser owned. Just people want to wait and see how he kind of looks and responds after that thumb injury. Brady, every week he's being appealingly priced. He's just been struggling with touchdowns this year. Only has thrown 8 touchdowns in 6 games. Something you normally don't see from Brady. He's had a couple of good games because they do throw a lot and he's able to get over 300 yards pretty easily. Don't mind him, but there's some other guys I'm looking at this week. See, Russell Wilson is questionable. If he's not able to play, then Brett Rypien would step in as the starter and you could be loving the Jets defense. You're already probably loading up on them a bit at $2,600, but if there is no Russell Wilson, then the Jets should win this game easily. Even with Russell Wilson, they can win the game. I like Carr as a value at 59. But once again, I like Geno Smith. Last week, he had opportunities, but it was just a low-scoring game for some reason. He did have one of the higher totals coming into the week last week against the Cardinals, and it ended up just being a 27-point game. Lots of field goals. He didn't really have any great things that stuck out. He did rush for 68 or 48 yards on 6 carries. So second time in 3 weeks he's rushed for almost 50 yards. Just didn't have to throw that many deep passes and didn't have any touchdowns. Just the nature of the game. But this week against the Chargers should be more of a higher scoring affair. Chargers giving up 24 points per game, bottom third in the NFL in that category. And if he's going to continue to run a bit, he's not like you have to stack him with somebody, but you do have guys you can stack him with, like a Tyler Lockett or Metcalf as the main guys. Even below Geno Smith, you have a couple of guys for tournaments like Daniel Jones is only 51. He's cheap. The Giants are underdogs against the Jaguars on the road, even though they're 5-1. So Vegas doesn't believe in them. Or probably take the Giants or take the points at least for them. Running back McCaffrey is now a 49er. He's probably not going to play much, if at all, against in his first game. Just on a very, very couple days' notice, got traded. I love Eckler at $8,300. If you can get to him, he's just super appealing just based on how involved he is offensively. If you consider the fact that after going the first 3 weeks without any touchdowns, he's now done 6 touchdowns in the last 3 games for him. So definitely love Eckler if you wanted to play him. It's also a great matchup against the Seahawks for sure. Again, they're giving up almost 170 rush yards per game. So Eckler is firmly in the mix. Like Leonard Fournette as well, if you wanted to consider getting to him. He's getting you over 20 touches with ease. Last week he had 27 touches. Week before that, 24 touches. He's starting to finally get involved in the end zone. 4 touchdowns the last 3 weeks, just like Eckler, after getting touchdownless after being held touchdownless in the first 3 weeks. But Josh Jacobs looks also amazing at $6,500 with the price tag and the matchup against Houston. They're also terrible against the rush. Might as well attack the worst rush defenses with 2 running backs that have been on fire over the last few weeks, in Eckler and Josh Jacobs, who's gone for 34 and 38 fantasy points. He's getting you 26 touches, and he's gotten 33 touches week before that. And there's no Darren Waller this week, and there possibly could be without 2 wide receivers, and Matt Collins and Hunter Renfrow are both questionable, so I could see Jacobs be even more involved in the passing game. Other picks would be like a Breece Hall, Elliott possibly at 6,000. Kenneth Walker for sure also gets a good matchup against the Chargers. And those are the main ones that really stick out to me. Wide receiver picks. We have a couple of pay-ups in Devontae Adams and Jamar Chase. Only guys above 8K this week. No Cooper Kupp on the slate. We also don't have Justin Jefferson on the slate. Then the second tier is like a Samuel and Pittman and Mike Williams. So less Samuel the most. Sam Brown is back against Dallas, but they're pretty good defensively. We'll see how he responds. And also the Williams news will be dependent on Keenan Allen playing or not. Once again, the 6K range is pretty appealing with T. Higgins, Godwin, gotten 12 targets last week, still is looking for his first touchdown of the season. I love CeeDee Lamb at 68. Gets Dak Prescott back. He was even pretty productive with Cooper Rush in there, getting catches and getting targeted pretty often. Now, much better opportunities for touchdowns and log touchdowns from Dak Prescott. So at 68, definitely a guy that probably want to be my favorite receivers just based on his price tag. Also, really think you can pay up a bit and get to Devontae Adams. That's what I'm going to do. We have some value at tight end. So tight end, you're going cheap for sure. You have 3 guys in the $2,500 to $2,800 range that are going to start and play 70 plus, 80 plus, and might play 90 plus % of snaps. So able to get to Devontae Adams here, as well as with CeeDee Lamb. And then other wide receiver picks would be like Chris Godwin, like 58 for Tyler Lockett, coming off of bad game, of course. Look to bounce back here. Other options be like a Gallup at 51. And then you have all these questionable pieces. If some of these guys sit, you could get some value in like a Keelan Cole if they're going to be without Hollins and or Hunter Renfrow. Tight end wise, you have so many good plays at tight end that are cheap. So I'm not going to look to get up to any of the pay-ups here. We know Waller is out. We know that Braid is out. So those guys are going to, the backups for both of those teams are going to really look appealing. And then with Dulcich playing as good as he did in the first game for the Broncos, if Russell Wilson is playing, then look to him as well. But Cade Otton, in the game in Week 5 when they were without Cameron Brate, he stepped in and played 94% of snaps. So he's going to look appealing for Tom Brady. They still are without Julio Jones once again. So I like Cade Otton. And then you're also going to be looking at the backup for Darren Waller, who's also missed a good amount of time. That is Foster Moreau at 28. He's benefited in a couple of games last year whenever Waller's missed. And then he can even take a shot on $2,500 for Greg Dulcich, who the rookie got that first touchdown of the game against the what was it? It was a Thursday night game, but ended up not really mattering against the Chargers, right? Yeah, against the Chargers. He also could have had another touchdown. They looked to him, so it was targeted another time in the red zone. But if Wilson is in there, he also played 70% of snaps in his first NFL game, so I like him. And then defense-wise, value would be the Jets defense at $2,600. They look the best by far. You could look to the Falcons if you think that they're going to get some pressure on Joe Burrow and that terrible offensive line. But for me, definitely the Jets would be the best defense to look at. You can go up in the mid-range for maybe like the Giants against the Jags. Go up a little bit more if you wanted to. Look at like the Packers against the backup quarterback in Washington, Taylor Heineke, although he could be better than Wentz. And then your pay-up would be the Bucs against Carolina, missing McCaffrey, and just kind of tanking now for the rest of the season for them. So that's what I got for DraftKings. Feel good about these guys a lot. You can go double cheap at tight end, put another cheap guy in the flex, and you're going to be set up pretty nicely. That's it for DK. Let's go over to FanDuel. Okay, for FanDuel for this Sunday slate, once again, you got cheap tight ends, just like you do on DraftKings, that make it easier to pay over some running backs or pay up for a receiver or two. At quarterback, I'm going once again the same approach that I did on DraftKings, going bargain hunting for a Geno Smith at 68. He gets a good matchup against the Chargers. He's been one of the better fantasy quarterbacks this year in terms of the guys that are cheap, and the price tag is just that appealing at 68 to where I'm comfortable with going with him and hoping that he gets me at least close to 20, if not more than 20. Running back wise, I like Eckler, but he's expensive at 95. You got some other guys to consider, but I still like him more than Barkley and Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb. Josh Jacobs still looks appealing to me against Houston with how involved he should be in the passing game if they're down a couple receivers, as well as the amount of rushes that he will get. And then even Leonard Fournette against the Panthers, take a little bit more savings there, and off compared to Eckler, and get to a guy that's also going to be super involved in the passing game. So that's what I'm looking at running back. Other picks would be a Joe Mixon is super cheap at 74. On Kenneth Walker on DraftKings, he's 58. He looks great on both sides. Even an Aaron Jones is super appealing at 68. Packers offense been very tough to kind of pin down, especially the running back situation. But that pricing is getting pretty ridiculous on some of the guys at running back, with Jones leading the way. Wide receivers, like Devontae Adams as a pay-up. It's a good matchup against Houston, and if they're down with Renfro, already down Waller, could be down Matt Collins as well, it's just going to go all to Devontae Adams. CeeDee Lamb, going to look to pay up for him on both sides. Not really a pay-up on DraftKings, a little bit more on FanDuel, but still not that great group of top-end receivers this week. So get to the best and get to a couple of the best, and Adams and Lamb obviously still have some of the Bengals guys up there. Values would be Chris Godwin at 7K. Other picks going further down would be possibly an Allen Lazard. See if McLaurin's able to do better with the new quarterback there. Maybe Heineke. He's had some good connections with McLaurin last year, number of games. And Palmer's out for them, so you could see, hopefully Keenan Allen's able to play. Tight end wise, even though you have a couple of guys that are pay up options, it's still a great position to pay down. K. Dotton is 49. He looks decent. But you have $4,000 for the min-priced guy in Dulich. You also have Foster Moreau, who's super appealing at $4,600. So you're looking to pick between some of the cheap guys like Dulich, probably the best on FanDuel, at least at 4K. Just how you're saving $900 and $600 from a couple of guys are in the same kind of group in terms of cheap tight ends that possibly can get you touchdowns. So that's what I'm looking at over on FanDuel. Defensive-wise, still think that the Jets would be the best if there is no Wilson. That'll also dictate if Dillwich a little bit, but right now I'm putting him in. I think Wilson will tough it out and play. I mean, they need a win, or especially last week they got off to a good start and then they did absolutely nothing the rest of the way. Team's falling apart a bit. Hackett sitting Melvin Gordon for the whole half. Things are not going well in Denver. But the Jets at 43 definitely look interesting. The Raiders at 4K against Houston's bad offense. And then pay-up-wise would be possibly the Bucks and possibly even the Packers. Well, that's what I got for NFL Week 7. Feel good about the core. Think there's lots of upside here. All these spots. You just need the tight end to do well, and the rest should fall into place. So thanks for watching. Best of luck. Leave any questions down below in the comment section, and I will see you all next time.